Two are the guys with the gift of gab. Two great guys with time on their hands. You know them and love them. It's TGIF, TGIF, TGIF with Santana and Joey. Thank God it's Friday.
Hey everybody, welcome to TGIF with Santana and Joey. I'm Santana.
I'm Joey.
Joey, yes, from the class of 2009. I'm in California. Joey, where are you?
I'm here in New York City. I'm up in the heart of Washington Heights, staying indoors.
We've got an exciting show planned for everybody today. We're going to have Myha'la Herrold.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, Myha'la National Tour of Book of Mormon. Going to be starring in an upcoming HBO series. We'll be asking her all about that, all about her time at MIDI at Carnegie Mellon, and more. So we're excited to get to that. But I mean, you know, everybody's sort of in the same boat right now, Joey. Like everybody's trying to stay entertained. So in addition to your at-home yoga and you blowing off your work Zoom meetings, like, what is it that you're doing? Like, how are you managing your time in the Big Apple?
I feel like I'm doing all right. I definitely have like my shows that I watch. So I'm going through Westworld. I'm watching all of the Marvel movies.
Oh, yes.
I've never seen a Star Wars movie, so I'm taking the time to actually watch this. I know.
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
You have never seen a Star Wars movie?
I've never seen a Star Wars movie until last week.
You know, the big show at home for us right now is The Masked Singer. Joey, a 7-year-old,
really?
and The Masked Singer, she's super into it. Like, have you ever watched that?
No, but Wayne Brady just won it, or right? He won last season.
So last season, this year they've got all kinds of folks on it. So you know, that's big time 7-year-old entertainment. Lego Masters. You know, we're finding ourselves amused. But if you want to watch live theater, you know, in addition to some of the stuff that we're doing on the MIDI Performing Arts channels, you know, National Theater just announced today that they're going to start streaming some of their shows from their archives, starting with One Man, Two Governors with James Corden, starting next week. So that is really exciting.
And I believe Broadway HD is up and running now. So I don't think there's any, I think it's free. I think it's a free subscription, whatever.
Yeah, I think you can do a free trial.
Check it out.
To watch things, and there's some regional theaters that are streaming productions that they were about to do. I know some of our local theaters, TheaterWorks, ACT, Berkeley Rep, and some others are streaming productions that either didn't get to happen that were about to open, or that did happen and they had an archive video. So it's awesome to see the theater community really coming together here, trying to give us some entertainment, Joey, because that's what we're doing right now. We're trying.
Exactly. And I feel like And I feel like you're doing a great job with all of keeping the MIDI performing arts community engaged with this whole, like, the show must go online thing. Like, what's up with that?
A lot of cool stuff going on, including this, what we're doing today, the TGIF show, which we're going to do every Friday for as long as we're all sitting here.
Yeah, I mean, the quarantine's going to be over and you and I are still going to be like, no one's going to be watching, but it'll be us still like being like, hey, I'll see you Friday.
So true and so sad.
Yes.
We'll just keep going. And we've got some other stuff that we're going to be doing. We've got our current sketch comedy team, pardon my French, is working on a web series. We're going to be doing something called From the Vault, where we're going to be finding a way to stream full productions that were produced at Archbishop MIDI, starting with the 2015 production of Macbeth. That will be coming. Look for information on that, on how to stream that show that, you know, we did a sort of a Game of Thrones 90-minute version of Macbeth that was pretty epic with Sean Clifford, Annie Hunt, Noah Collins, and a very young Connor Sherry as 8th grade Connor Sherry. Yes.
And he graduated. He's still, he doesn't look like he's grown up much.
Incredibly youthful, dude.
Yes.
So all these things are coming and more. And so make sure you're staying tuned for some of the cool stuff that's on the horizon. Now, Joey, you said that you had some folks that you were concerned about. I mean, is anybody?
You know, I just think some people might be like too comfortable with quarantine. Like, you know, I like to get out and go do stuff, but you know, my best friend Mimi Robinson, also a MIDI alum, like she I feel like she's like too comfortable in this quarantine.
Should we check on her?
I think it would be best. Yeah, we should give her. I mean, can we do that? Just like a little ring.
Pretty good. What time is it?
It is 5:10 in the evening.
Okay. Almost time for first dinner. Good. How are you guys doing?
What's on the menu? Like at your place during a quarantine, what is served? A nice kale aioli?
Okay, you ever have chili from a can? Now hear me out. You do chili from a can, spread that over a waffle. Sounds crazy. Bring a little cheddar cheese. You ever do that?
Yes.
No, but
I tell you,
Yeah.
that starts you off real nice.
Yeah.
You guys look really good.
We call that second dinner at our house.
Oh yeah, no, that's just the appetizer here in Casa de Robinson.
We're gonna have to check on you again and just make sure it doesn't get any worse, you know?
Yeah. Well,
Feeling pretty good.
we will check in with you again next week, but definitely not before then.
That sounds fine, guys. I'll see you later.
Let's get to it. Let's get Myha'la on Zoom.
Great.
Here we go. Hi, Myha'la.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you guys.
Good
Yeah.
to see
I love
you.
the hair.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One of the first things I learned about you, and this is from when you were like 9 years old and we were doing community theater together, was that you can never expect Myha'la to show up with the same hairdo.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Memorable hair, memorable person, memorable performances all over the place. How's it going? Where are you? Are you in New York?
I am. I'm currently in New York. I am in the East Village. This is my apartment.
And you're not alone. You have your cat.
I'm not alone. Yeah. Would you like to say hi?
Oh, of course.
Mine as well.
Come here, Peanut. Oh, she's not going to be happy about this.
Uh-oh.
This is Salad.
Whoa.
Hi,
Oh.
Salad.
And if you had to cast Salad in Cats the musical, what cat would Salad play?
Ooh, yes.
No question.
Oh, wow. This is a good one.
Very niche.
She's got the naivete of Victoria. That's her name, right? The white one.
White cat, yeah.
Yeah. And the attitude of that one like brown cat that doesn't have like any solo at all, but is like looks like kind of like one of those Egyptian like minx thing. You know which one I'm talking about? That's like
Oh yeah. Cassandra moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and the like two other people watching this are with it.
You're with it.
Well, I know it's not the musical C Cats that starts with C, your first show at MIDI, but it was another show that starts with C. Do you remember your first show at MIDI? Do you remember what it was?
I do. It was Cabaret.
Yes, Cabaret. Michelle Martinelli as Sally Bowles, and you played one of the KitKat girls. And do you remember that you had the scene in the corner? You were on the telephone with Trevor Bates. Do you remember that you were the KitKat girl in the corner?
I loved that I got to be on the phone with Trevor Bates.
Hello? Hello?
That's what you came here for?
Sitting all alone like that, you happen to catch my eye. Would you like to buy a girl a drink?
Welcome to Berlin, famous novelist.
Yeah, you would. Come on over.
That was quite a KitKat Girls ensemble. Jamie Landrum was in the KitKat Girls. Tiani Hernandez was in that group. It's quite a few folks.
My twin, Davlin. Davlin Couch was my twin.
Yes, Davlin was one of the KitKat Girls as well. That was a really great show. Your freshman year, you were also in the Drowsy Chaperone. Yes, where you understudied Janet Van de Graaff.
I did, played by Adrian Eller.
Yes, and so a lot of the kids who've done the understudying at MIDI, I mean, I don't know if you've done understudying other than in that case or anywhere else.
I did understudy in college.
Where'd you go to college, for folks who don't know?
I went to Carnegie Mellon. I studied musical theater.
School.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's a wonderful school. I loved that school. I will be forever grateful for my experience there. It was a great, great fit for me. That's something that I learned very quickly in the audition process when auditioning for college was like, there are a bunch of really wonderful schools, but what was most important to me was that I felt comfortable around the people on the campus, in the city, and I felt most connected to Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon when I visited. So I just got lucky that the program is also excellent.
And you had quite a decision to make. I mean, we're jumping ahead in the timeline here a little bit, but you know, it came down to Michigan and Carnegie Mellon. I mean, what a choice.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I had always wanted to go to Michigan because that was all I ever heard like Joey's generation talk about was all of
That's
the kids.
the old generation. That's the old.
Whoa.
No, not old. Wise.
Older.
Wiser.
Oh, yes.
Wiser generation to me.
Yeah.
I was all I ever heard was Michigan. And I was like, great, that sounds, I mean, and mind you, I had no idea why. I just was like, oh, cool, people that I like and respect.
We didn't know why either. It was just what we were told to say.
Right. So I just was like, cool, I'm gonna go there. I auditioned there, and then like 9 other places I had heard about. I auditioned at NYU as well, because I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I might as well try to go to the best places for it.
You had to squeeze in your audition kind of during a very eventful time, right?
I did. That was that whole season of my life was busy and exciting and fun. I was reminded about this time with you guys. I was opening was it my final show at Midi?
It was, yeah. It was your senior year spring musical, Spamalot.
Yes, which I loved. I loved that show.
My recollection was that you were in at both places already, and I think that you were, you know, kind of doing a final, you know, walkthrough
yes.
with them, and that, you know,
Right.
you were,
Yes.
they were courting you in a way, you know, to try and get you to come. And, you know, we were lucky that Caitlin Payne was your understudy, incredibly talented student, alumni of MIDI as well, and Chapman University grad. And, you know, we were lucky that we had Caitlin ready to go, so that it was definitely easier to put you on a plane. But I mean, that was a whirlwind. That was crazy.
I remember telling you and Kimont about that situation, because when I first told you guys, I was like, hey, so I got past the pre-screens for Michigan and I'm gonna go audition at Carnegie Mellon. And you guys were like, oh wow, that's amazing, good for you. And then when I was like, hey, so I got in both places, and both of you were like, oh my god, that's amazing. And I was like, and they're taking me out there to sort of go, and I really think I should do this. However, as far as I can remember, you both were like, I mean, it's conflicting, obviously, because it's like, okay, what are we gonna do without you? Thank God for Caitlin Payne, but also like, how can we say no? This is a really awesome opportunity. So I got very lucky that you guys were gracious enough, and that was a incredibly pivotal weekend for me deciding where to go, because before that weekend I was like, I'm going to Michigan, and then after, because I hadn't been to Carnegie Mellon yet, so I was like, or no, had I gone? No, I had been once, but I still wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know, because both programs were great. People that I knew and loved had relationships with both schools, so like getting to do that was amazing, and then getting to come home and do the show with you guys was a great cherry on the top.
Oh, blimey!
Come with me, come with me, come with me, sweet Galahad. Be a man, join Arthur's band. Come with me, and
know that Joey has not seen any of the Star Wars movies. Do you know that, Myha'la?
Until last week, until the quarantine.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't know that.
Have you seen a Star Wars movie?
No.
I knew that.
You know what? I knew that was going to be the answer.
I could
Well,
see
you've got
it.
time.
It was like,
You've got time.
and
Why did you walk me right into that? Now everyone's gonna know that I don't know anything about Star. I tried once, and I was like, bet I understand the appeal. I can't. It's not.
I'm
for me.
honestly only doing it because I want to be in the know when I go visit Disneyland and I go to Galaxy's Edge.
Oh,
I
man.
know what's happening.
Oh, I've done the full Galaxy's Edge. I've been on both rides. It's awesome. Yeah, it's worth it. You got to know, but you got to know the backstory. You got to know the backstory.
You got to do your research as a avid Disneyland goer.
I don't
So-
really like Disneyland.
Oh no! Don't
They're out of here.
Oh, I'm melting. Look at I've got like 2 chins right now. I'm so
We're
upset.
like, and we don't mean to bump you, but
Sorry, Myha'la, we gotta go. Sorry.
Not Tesco to not collect $200. Whoops.
I think it's talking about pivotal moments for you in high school. You know, this definitely the Michigan Carnegie Mellon experience, but then also the experience of winning the top honors award for Spelling Bee, your performance in Spelling Bee.
I love my dictionary, and I love the indented border. Every word's in alphabetical order, ergo lost things always can be found. And I wrap my head around the fact that in one book is the entire language of our species, which is a favorite term of Nietzsche's, who was the great-grandfather of Christina Ricci's. Yes, I joke, but the words in the dictionary are the friends I'll have forever, more than the friends I have made in school.
And getting to go to the Jimmy Awards and
Yeah.
participate in that. Can you tell everybody a little bit what that was like?
Sure, absolutely. So, very similarly to my college experience, I had no idea what the Jimmy Awards were at all, really. So I found out I was nominated, and then we did a show that would sort of decide who was going to go, and then I found out I won, which was really amazing, and I was flown to New York for a week, and I did a sort of week-long prep for show / sort of intensive musical theater sort of program masterclass-ish thing for like a week, and a bunch of us, I don't know how many kids are, 60 or something like that, crazy, from all over the country get to go and perform on the Minskoff stage, which is where Lion King on Broadway is, which is one of the coolest parts about performing there was that we got to walk obviously like through the backstage area, and there was like all kinds of pieces of people's costumes and like years and years and years from people in the show, like notes and drawings, and that was I was starstruck about that because you see like a giraffe head and then you're like, oh my God, Lion King, right? I had also seen the tour sometime when it came through San Jose, and I fell in love with it. I said, if I get to be in that show, like you can end my career right there. So that was really cool. I worked with Leslie Odom Jr., who I found out later. Did I not tell you about that?
Well, I think you did, but I don't think that Leslie Odom Jr. was Leslie Odom Jr. when you were doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know who he was, but everyone else seemed to know. Oh my gosh! And what is Liz Calloway was also there. We worked with her. I worked with her personally, but she was. They separated us in groups, and we all had a coach. And I was with Leslie Odom Jr. And I found out later that he is also a graduate of Carnegie Mellon, which is pretty cool. And that was, I definitely went in feeling like I couldn't compete necessarily with everyone else there because they had all had like really extensive training and had gone to this school and that school and worked with this person, and they'd been to New York before, and there was like, I just didn't feel very adequate. And Mr. Leslie was like, why are you worried about that? What we do is not about comparing ever. We are storytellers. So I don't really know how you could compare that. So why don't you just be a storyteller and you tell us something about you. And then he was like, and sing. And then the first chord, and of course I was like, okay. And I was singing, I think I was singing Home from The Wiz. And of course I was like, I'm not kidding, like by the end of the song, on the floor, like weeping. It was definitely one of those like classic breakthrough moments when I was like, I don't know how old I was, 16 or something ridiculous like that. But it truly was a moment where I let go of a lot of things like perfection and what I've done compared to what other people have done, and decided to become a storyteller instead, which is far more compelling, I think, than most skill level or technique. You know, everyone can have that, and most people now do because they're young and they're like, oh, I need to be this and this and this and have this to be able to do whatever. But nobody is you, if that makes sense. Everyone else can have the same technique and the same skills and have been to the same master class or college or whatever, but they can't see through your eyes. So that was something that I learned in that adventure that I will hold forever. And I think what sets a person apart is when they're not afraid to tell their story in whatever way that is.
In addition to doing shows at MIDI, you were part of jazz band, right? You were part of sketch comedy. Joey, also a sketch comedy alum.
Oh yeah.
And this is back when sketch was in the morning, right? Sketch was in the morning. It was at
that was so rude. I don't know why you did that to us.
We fixed that. We're much more polite now. It's at 2:45. We fixed it. You're actually the only student who's ever been in both things at the same time. So somehow we figured it out for you to jump back and forth between the two. But you were also in Exodus, and you got to perform at Black and Gold.
Jazz band and Exodus were the first experiences I had with like a microphone, like a handheld microphone. I'd been mic'd in plays and shows, whatever, before, but it was the first time that I was just singing, just for the sake of singing a song. And that was really exciting because I don't think I had ever exercised my voice outside of musical theater or had a relationship with any other genre of music. So in jazz band, it was a lot of jazz, and I got to listen to some old stuff, and that really connected me to a lot of the music that I enjoy listening to and singing now. And Exodus was like rock and roll all the time, like classic 80s rock and roll. Which was really, really fun because that was also exercising a whole different part of my voice that I had never used. But there's still a lot of showmanship in that as well, except when we were singing Mass, when you sort of just were told to disappear, which is fine. Also an exercise that I had never really done before. But yeah, both of those were really great. I loved performing with live music as well. Like, I still have a great desire to be in a band. I don't think there's anything quite like performing live with a band. So I hope one day I get to do that again, but I'm super grateful for that experience. And Black and Gold was like the largest scale of that I could have done at the time. That was really exciting because there was a lot of creativity in that process, because there were a lot of elements. There was dancing, and there was the live band behind us. We had to play to a huge room. There was costume changes, but it was, so in some ways that was quite theatrical, but less about storytelling and more just about like emulating a period of time with our voice. So that was really fun and interesting, and also a massive endeavor. Now that I think about it, like MIDI does some big stuff. That's pretty amazing. Like
big stuff. MIDI hashtag big stuff.
MIDI hashtag big stuff. Yeah, lots of things that I could have never imagined doing outside of, I don't know. A lot of my friends were like, you did that when you were how old? And I was like, yeah, I went to MIDI.
I'd say your MIDI adventure continued post MIDI, you know, at Carnegie Mellon, because when you're there, in addition to getting a great education, somewhere along the way, you find yourself on the national tour of Book of Mormon.
Yes.
And we got to see you do it here in San Jose.
That's right. That's right.
What was that like, doing that like while you're still in school? Like how did you manage that?
Well, it turned out that I only actually missed a total of 2 weeks of actual class. I got super lucky that my contract for Book of Mormon started in the summertime in June, I believe, and then I was actually just filling out another girl's contract. She got sent to the West End company and they had a gap and they just needed me for however many months. And so it was perfect. It was like the fanciest summer stock a person could do ever. And I actually I had just signed a contract with a regional house in Pittsburgh, and I had to call them and be like, hey, I'm so sorry. Is there any way? And they were like, well, you know, in any other situation, I would say no, but how can we say, I mean, go, like you have to do it. So that was really interesting. It was most of my summer, which was great. I traveled, I got to go home. You guys, my friends, my family got to see me on a big stage in a way they hadn't seen me in a minute because I'd been, you know, in Pittsburgh. And I didn't close there, but it was one of my last performances. One of my last cities that we went to Salt Lake City, Utah.
Wow.
And I got to sing Salt Lake City there, which was really cool. Not only because like the theater itself, I don't remember what that theater was called, but it's absolutely stunning, like beautiful and big. And when I sang that song, the entire ceiling of the theater, like, I don't know how they did this, but it was like, they made it into the night sky. So like the stage sort of like went up into the night sky and I could see it from like where I was at on the stage, which was wild. And as soon as I said Salt Lake, I literally couldn't hear anything because the entire audience was like, Wah!
So from Broadway National Tour to television, going from Book of Mormon, graduating from Carnegie Mellon, and now being in the Amazon Instant series, Modern Love.
So many schools do what's called a showcase at their graduating class of actors go to New York or LA or both. Carnegie Mellon does both. And we do a small show for people in the industry like managers and agents and casting directors and other folks to come and see us and then let us know if they'd like to make an appointment. So from that endeavor, I found my management. And then like right away off the bat, I don't think I had actually even officially graduated. She started sending me these appointments, these auditions that she was submitting me for. So I just started slapping things on tape, and it was mostly for TV and film because she was at the time mostly closely in the TV and film world, and she's from LA as well. So I just started auditioning a bunch for that sort of thing, and it became very clear to me that I'm in a really exciting, to be a person like me, it's like really exciting right now in TV and film because they're being super proactive about finding all kinds of people. They're like really gung-ho about representation, and I think there are just more stories being told that I fit into. So I just was auditioning a lot more for TV and film. And this one, I got this email for this show, and I actually went in person in New York and I auditioned, and then got a call a few days later maybe being like, hey, they really liked your tape. They'd like to do a director session. This is crazy. So a word of advice. Anytime you get an email from anyone, read the whole thing, read the whole email. Like, don't skim it. Just like—
Joey, are you listening? Are you listening, Joey?
I know. If I read the whole email, I wouldn't be here right now.
See, that's what I'm saying. Read the email. Because I didn't. I was like, okay, my appointment's at 4. I'm going to this and such. Here's the material. Great, got it. I walk in, and Emmy Rossum, who is she's on Shameless, or was on Shameless. She was, I mean, her career is wild, but I'm a huge Phantom movie, right? I'm a massive fan of hers, and she like opens the room and was like, "Hey," and I went, "I'm not kidding you guys." I went, "Oh my god, I'm gonna pee myself." And she was like, "Ha ha ha," and I was like, "I love you," and she was like, "Ha ha ha, cool. Like, let's read the scene." And I was like, "Great, great. Keep it together, Myha'la. Keep it together." So we worked the scene a bit. She was really, really nice, really cool. The casting director was there as well. And then a few days later, my management called me and they were like, "Hey, they want you for this episode." And I was like, "Bet, great." And it filmed in Long Island. I was on it for about 3 days. I worked with Julia Gardner, who's very sweet and kind. I had also no idea who she was. And then I looked at her face and I was like, "Oh my God."
So from Amazon to HBO. So this is coming up here.
Yes.
I admittedly know nothing about it except for the press release, and all I know is that you were living. We were texting each other while you were in Europe for
Yes.
months.
I was in Cardiff, Wales.
Yes. What is this exciting project coming up here?
So I am on a new HBO series called Industry. It is written by Mickey Down and Conrad Kay, executive produced and directed by Lena Dunham. And it is
just Lena Dunham. No, yeah.
So casual.
It's okay.
It's about young finance kids, like recent graduates, who all they get hired at this massive bank in London in sort of lower level preliminary jobs, and the whole series is sort of them finding their footing as young people in a new industry, like being brand new and like figuring out that hierarchy. And then by the end of the first season, they find out whether or not they've been hired full time. And I play a girl named Harper, who is from New York, so I did not have to have any kind of accent because God knows they would not have hired me if I had to. Which is great. So I essentially just got to play a little bit of myself, which was awesome. And you sort of follow the story through her eyes a bit until you meet like everyone. And it's really an ensemble piece. Like there's not the main cast of 4 of us. Our stories are like, you know, equally weighted. So there's a lot of intertwined and equally weighted. So you follow one person, then you see this person's experience, and then you find out how they're connected and, you know, that sort of thing. But it's a really exciting show. It's a drama, which I don't think lots of people were expecting me to do, which is cool. I don't know if I necessarily was expecting it, but I think I found my calling in that. A little drama for me, I think. It's great. I'm so excited for it to come out. We worked so hard and everyone was so passionate because the script, my gosh, our writers, Mickey and Conrad, are absolutely genius. And they were also in the finance industry. They both worked in banking as traders, I think collectively for like 8 years. So they know the world really well. And one of the hardest things for me to do was to figure out how the heck to say all that finance jargon and look like I knew what I was talking about. Because like, Lord knows, I barely got through algebra. So like, that was probably one of the most difficult parts of the process, which is great because, you know, there was some other really difficult stuff. But that was really exciting, like learning about that world and what it means, and like staring at a Bloomberg computer for hours, like absolutely the opposite of what I thought I was going to be doing my whole life, but like sitting at a desk in front of a computer all day for 6 months.
So you're back in New York,
Yes.
away from Wales, back
Yes.
back working on some theater. I'm not sure what you can tell us about, or you know, I know you've been involved in a few things.
Yeah. I was a part of a handful of readings for new musicals. Just to be safe, I'm not exactly all that I can say. I'm not sure. Let's see. So I worked on a new musical with music and lyrics by Ingrid Michaelson, which is really great. In that, I worked with Philippa Sue, who's really awesome. She's really sweet. sounds as beautiful in person as you could ever imagine a person might sound.
Did you have that pee your pants moment when you saw her as well, or was that? Did you move past that?
No, I read the whole email that time, so I knew she was gonna be there.
So here we are. We're at the special segment that we're going to use to end with at least today's guest. Joey, why don't you introduce it?
Yes. So, Myha'la, I don't know if you are a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race or not,
Yes.
but to finish things off, we are going to have you lip sync for your life.
Let's go.
So, for our viewers at home, we sent her a track. We changed the name of the file so that it would be a mystery for her, and she's going to play it, and we're gonna see if she stays or not.
Okay, Shantae, you ready?
Are you ready?
Okay, should I play it now?
Go for it.
Okay.
Are you ready?
How dare you?
Dear Ally, he's a lucky guy. I'm like gonna cry. I got tears coming out of my nose. Mad proud, he's the campus catch. You're a perfect match, 'cause you both have such great taste in clothes. Of course he will propose. Dear Elle, honey, muzzle top. Future's taken off. Bring that ring back and show it to me. 4 carats, a princess cut. Are you psyched or what? I just wish I could be there to see when he gets down on one knee.
Yeah.
What a good choice!
Yay!
Oh, I'm
Good job.
Saying you better look it.
Oh.
She's going up to the judges table and she's like, clearly I'm staying.
Oh.
See you next week.
Myha'la, thank you so much. Thank you for being with us and being our first guest on TGIF.
What a leap of faith.
And a blessing. Thank you both. It was great. I had a great time.
All right, well, we'll be back next week with a new guest and some new tomfoolery. Joey, will you come back?
I have no excuse. I'm running out of excuses.
Just don't read the full email.
I know, don't read the full email.
All right, everybody, we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Thank God it's Friday.